And first up, we get you details of that meeting, that high-level meeting that was conducted, where the committee that has been constituted on the Ahmedabad plane crash case has now ended. We are learning that the officials who attended the meeting included Home Secretary, Government of India, Ministry of Home Affairs, Secretary, Ministry of Civil Aviation, Government of India, Additional Secretary, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Home Affairs, Representative of State Home Department, Government of Gujarat, Representative of State Disaster Management Authority, Government of Gujarat, Commissioner of Police, Ahmedabad, Director General, Inspection and Security, Indian Air Force, Director General, Bureau of Civil Aviation Security, that is DGBCAS, Director General, Directorate General of Civil Aviation, that is DGCA, and Special Director of the Intelligence Bureau. Also in that meeting was Directorate Forensic Science Services, Government of India. So you see top government officials who were a part of that meeting to now make headway on what caused the Ahmedabad air crash. Let me cut across to my colleague Aishwarya Palwar, who has more details on what transpired through this meeting and operative points that you can share with us, Aishwarya.
Well, Suresha, one of the things that this committee is very keenly looking at the moment is the fact that the existing SOPs, are they enough, are they not enough? Now, that's the big question that the committee is looking at. Not just that, the committee at the moment is also looking at the changes that should be done. What exactly happened in those 40 seconds? That's the big question, Suresha, that everyone at the moment is asking for. What are the what do key players do globally? What happens internationally? That's also something that was being looked at. So in the next 3 months, we will see these kind of meetings taking place. The deadline which has been given by the central government to this high-level committee is the next 3 months. So in the next 3 months, they need to complete everything. What are the existing SOPs? Are they enough? Do we need to make those changes? That's something that we will see coming out of the meeting. What exactly had happened? How much time will it take for the data coming out from the black box? That's also something that the committee is now looking at. When will it be decoded? And what all information can the committee give to the central government? So those are the focus points that we will look at. One of the things, Suesha, we should expect coming out from this very crucial meeting is the fact that we could see changes in the SOPs, the way in which airlines look at security. That's something that we could see, at least in the Indian context, changing dramatically over the course of the next 3 months.
Oh yes, that is extremely critical, Aishwarya. In fact, I would also like to know from you when the follow-up meeting will be in this regard. And given the fact that the probe report will take about 3 months, but the black box has been recovered, the DVR has been recovered. So in that sense, information that comes out on the Ahmedabad crash will also be critical to how, by and large, there will be changes. How will it all work in tandem?
Well, definitely, on one side, we will see what exactly happened, that investigation taking place, what all the pilots could have done. Experts will be roped in. Their suggestions will be sought. What happens globally? What do other pilots do? What do other countries do? So all that study will be done, and how to make sure that these kind of incidents do not take place in India. So on one side, we will see the committee looking at that and the data that will be recovered. How soon can the data be recovered, and backtracking what happened in those 40 seconds. That's the crucial thing that we will see being answered by. And this committee, the report that this committee will submit, on the basis of that, we will see the aviation sector going forward. Some of the changes that we will see the central government bringing in, the aviation ministry also very keenly looking at this. What are the changes and what all things can be done? Can there be some things that can be added? And it's not just something that India will be doing. This information will also be shared with other global partners as well. So all those things will be answered, and a deadline has been given. The next 3 months, very, very crucial. We are expecting the next meeting to take place in the next 1 week. We will see these meetings taking place.
Aishwarya, I want to thank you for getting us these latest details. Of course, we'll keep coming back to you for further updates. Yes, it's a major breakthrough in the Ahmedabad plane crash probe, the cockpit voice recorder that has been recovered. Now, this is extremely crucial because investigators are now a step closer than ever to understanding what exactly went wrong, especially in the final moments. More on this in our next report. Also, US probe officials who have also reached the crash site, and they've started the investigation. First up, this report.
Amid twisted metal and shattered lives, and a vital clue. on what led to the catastrophic Ahmedabad crash. Investigators have recovered a critical piece of evidence, the cockpit voice recorder, or CVR, from the wreckage. This small device could unlock the final moments inside the cockpit, capturing every word between the pilots, every alarm, every system failure, and every second of panic. Earlier, the black box of the digital flight data recorder was also recovered from the roof of the building hit by the Air India flight. Black box holds all the vital parameters and record of tech snags that could have afflicted the plane. Personnel from US Transport Safety Board, officials from Boeing, and investigators of the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau arrived to inspect the crash spot.
हमारी टीम ने एफडीआर टाइप डिवाइस से कभी फाइंड आउट किया है। एआईबी और एयर इंडिया की टीम उसे इन्वेस्टिगेशन के लिए चेक करने के लिए लेके गई है। वो कंफर्म करके हमें बताएगी कि एग्जैक्टली उनको जो चाहिए था वो वही है कि नहीं है।
The high-level government panel headed by the Union Home Secretary also met to evaluate if safety protocols were followed in Ahmedabad. The version of the man who lived in the deadly crash holds immense importance. An unseen video of Vishwas, the lone passenger to survive, emerged, showing him being led away from the towering inferno after the crash. Dazed and disoriented, his account could be the key to find out what went wrong. How long before India gets answers to all its questions? Bureau Report, India Today.
We now cut across to Amit Bhardwaj joining us live from Ahmedabad. Amit, first up on the status of the probe, how exactly is the pace right now? Because these initial days are very important in ensuring that in the way evidence is collected, it is not tampered with given the volume of people who are on the site. Also the fact that the DVR has been recovered, the black box has been recovered, teams from US that are also present at the site, all of them working to find out the reasons of the crash. What's the latest?
Shreya, in this particular case, what is happening is that India is not only using the domain expertise within the country, but also the global experts. And that is why the NTSB, which has the domain expertise in handling such crash cases or, accident and incidents of aviation sector, they have been also roped in. I was very much on the ground when the NTSB team had reached the crash site this morning, and they had spent quite extensive time at the crash site today as well. Along with that, what we are given to understand, the FAA team, FAA team was also roped in. More importantly, the Boeing experts have been also called in, because remember, this is Boeing Dreamliner, and nobody would be in a better situation to suggest the AIB team or the experts who are working on the ground as to which all material evidences are extremely important in order to draw that timeline to augment the probe as it moves forward and further. And more importantly, the Air India safety team was also called in today at the spot in order to assist these experts who were on the ground working to collect as much as material evidence which would be required and necessary for taking this investigation forward. Now, coming to the point of black box as well as the CVR, these are two very crucial elements and material evidence that was supposed to be recovered by the agencies, and AIB has done that in a very short span of time itself. The black box, we know for a matter of fact, was recovered on June 13, 5 p.m. itself, as well as the CVR, the cockpit voice recorder, that has been recovered as well by the local authorities out here, and it has been handed over to the AIB team. Now, decoding of these two particular extremely important devices would reveal more details as to what happened in the final moments of AI 171. Back to you.
Amit, I request you to stay on with us. Let's quickly explain to our viewers why these recoveries are so crucial and how exactly will it help in piecing together the evidence, especially during the final moments of the crash. So what is the cockpit voice recorder and how exactly does it help? Well, The discussions that have happened between the pilot, the co-pilot and the crew members are all recorded in this recorder. No matter the explosion, no matter whatever is the impact during the crash, but all of this gets recorded and it cannot be tampered with. The background sounds, what had happened during the final moments? Was there any alarm? Were there any warning alerts? Were people, passengers, crew members, any audio that is particularly in the ambience or otherwise gets recorded on this recorder? Now let's look at the third aspect, radio communications between the cockpit and air traffic control. So what is it that the pilot said to the ATC? Now in this particular case, we understand that the pilot had communicated that the thrust had not reached the desired result. The second word he had said was falling, and last of course was Mayday. So while we are learning that from sources, but the exact recordings, the exact words will all be heard once this particular device is examined. And lastly, all the sequence of events, all that has happened, this instrument will help the probe team reconstruct the sequence of events before the crash, what had happened in the final moments, was it a technical glitch or was it a man-made mistake? All of this will come together to finally help all of us understand what led to the crash. Let me go back to my colleague Amit as he was explaining to us that the probe team is working on all these aspects, Amit, piecing together all the information and of course highest level of officers, teams from the US, teams from UK who are all a part of this probe. It is one of the worst air tragedies that India has ever seen.
Absolutely right, Shreyas. Not only India, but in the recent times, this will certainly count in one of the worst, civil aviation tragedy that the world or the global community has gone through, experienced, and is still trying to cope up with. And that is why the world expertise has been also roped in by the AIB, the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau in this particular case. And what we are given to understand, for instance, yesterday, when the entire probe and the material evidences were being collected from the ground, a foreign expert was rushed to the crash site. What we are given to understand, an expert named Deep Gaurav was taken to the site. The NTSB's presence very much gives out us a detail as to how we are bringing in all possible expertise on the ground in order to bring out the story as to what might have gone wrong. Because so far it looks like both the engines of the craft did not work. That is why thrust was not achieved by the craft, and eventually the pilot had to tell the ATC that it's falling and eventually called Mayday as well. And within that Mayday call, after a few seconds of that Mayday call, the ATC could not contact the pilot, and the Ahmedabad sky was filled with that ball of fire. So this looks like a case of, a big mystery as to how something as big as and successful Dreamliner, which has almost impeccable track record as far as air safety norms are concerned, that collapse crashed within 2 minutes after takeoff. So that those dots needs to be connected, decoded, and that is why experts are on the ground. They will deal with the decoding of the black box and CVR as well. Both of them are going to prove really crucial. But along with that, now further material evidence is being collected to check whether there were any case of internal short circuit fire, and there are learnings from the past as well. So I'm just adding a bit to it. Back in 2012, there was a similar case when during a taxi drive test of AI Dreamliner in America, when the right engine had failed to give the thrust. So there are a lot of learnings, and these learnings need to be connected with this investigation.
Amit, in fact, I want to talk about this in greater detail, especially as to why Dreamliners are now under the scanner. Because a couple of aspects that are now being looked into, especially with what the whistleblowers have exposed. Now, remember, it's less than a week after the first ever crash of Boeing Dreamliner in Ahmedabad. Multiple reports of mid-air glitch in the Dreamliners that have been reported across the globe, which was once considered the safest flight in the world. Let's take a look at some of these incidents that have been reported in the last 4 days itself. Now, this particularly is under the scanner after the June 12 incident that had been reported, Ahmedabad to London, the Air India flight that crashed. Unfortunately, 275 people lost their lives in this crash, and a lot of talk on Dreamliners. But remember, on June 15, that is yesterday, when a flight was on board from London to Chennai, it was a British Airways flight, and this flight had to return due to a technical snag. But the very fact that it is a Dreamliner, the very fact that the pilot said that we will not continue with this flight, we want to go back and land in London, is also the question as to why it is a Dreamliner and why is it that it could not travel across. And on the 16th of June, Hong Kong Delhi Air India flight that has once again returned due to a technical snag. Now, all these factors are being looked into, but the fact remains that it landed back in Hong Kong instead of traveling to its destination. I'd like to cut across to Group Captain Amit Rungta. He is an aviation expert joining us on the broadcast. Thank you for joining us on the broadcast this evening. Group Captain Amit Rungta, first up, why is it that this sudden attention and questioning the safety of Dreamliners is on the rise? These particular incidents that have happened and whistleblowers who have spoken about it, where is the fault line?
All right. So, first of all, I was just watching your program and you spoke about the CVR and the FDR. I'll answer your question, but I'll just link it to that. So, the CVR basically is a cockpit voice recorder, which is going to have multiple channels, which records the conversation inside the cockpit. That's between the captain and the first officer, or if there's an observer in the cockpit. It records all the conversation that the cockpit is having with the ATC on a different channel. So it's happening concurrently on different tapes. It's recording all the conversation that is happening from the cockpit to the passenger cabin, that is any announcements which are being made. And fourthly, it is recording the ambient conversation, which you may not be speaking into the mic. So something which is happening in the cockpit, any sounds, any signals going on. That would be the CVR. The FDR is actually much more accurate, which is a flight data recorder, where each and every data, there are literally thousands of data which are being recorded concurrently. The major data would, of course, be the height, the speed, the direction, any special initiators which are going on, or any warning which has come on. You can actually recreate the entire cockpit in a visual form by decoding the FDR. So, having said that, uh, pilots in India and the world over, I'll speak more about India because my experience is more here. The training is such that every 6 months, first of all, the initial training itself is very robust. And
Right.
you can fly only one type of aircraft at a time. So by one type means if I'm flying a particular aircraft today, say a Boeing 737 MAX, if tomorrow I want to fly an Airbus 320, which is in the same class of aircraft, but it's a different aircraft, regardless of my experience, I have to do the full type rating. That is right from the technical books and the full simulator training, the full flying training, which we call the SLFs. And then after multiple checks, you get released. Just the way pilot training happens and each and everything that is happening in the cockpit is being recorded, every data is being recorded.
Right.
Similarly, the technical aspect of it, it undergoes multiple checks, every aircraft. So that means it is being checked in a particular way after a turnaround, a quick turnaround. That is the fastest thing. That is, you land at a particular destination and then you are moving for another destination. And that's a certain check. There are certain checks which are done at the end of the day, which are a
Right.
little more thorough.
Right.
And
So if I could
so,
draw your attention back to the Dreamliners, because that is the particular focus right now, and the very fact that
yes, ma'am, just
all
coming to your
eyes on the
question.
evaluation of Dreamliners that are in practice across India. Why is that?
So, anytime something goes wrong, it is of course correct to assess what went wrong. We are going about in that in every possible way. And so the Dreamliner, as somebody has already covered, is made by the Boeing company, which is one of the oldest aviation companies in the world. And along with Airbus, the largest two companies in the world. The Dreamliner is their latest product. The next product is in the medium haul category. This, so far, it has never had a hull damage. By a hull damage means it is damaged beyond economical repair. That means it cannot fly again. All the incidents that you're talking about, they are not really accidents. They are incidents where something goes wrong. The pilot assesses what has gone wrong. He has an option with this, snag in the aircraft. Can he continue to the destination, or is it more prudent to divert somewhere else? Or if he's just taken off, it may be more prudent to just come back. And hence, these things happen. I wouldn't say very often, but they happen fairly often. And we are regularly trained to deal with these things. A lot of these things are minor in nature, some of them are major in nature. And it is nothing special about a Dreamliner. All the 3, 4 incidents that we are talking about in a Dreamliner, they are happening regularly with all other types of aircraft too. And if you take out the data for any other aircraft, whether of this size or of a smaller size, similarly, there would have been diversions all over the world. When you can, ma'am,
Right.
you can
I
imagine.
do get your point, but it is
Yeah.
particularly in focus after the Ahmedabad crash, and the very fact that both these flights, the Air India flight and the British Airways flight, the fact that both these flights went back to its originating destination, be it Hong Kong, be it London, and the pilots chose not to fly to the final destination. Now, before I take my next question to you, I quickly want to share with you and for our viewers what whistleblowers who worked with the Boeing company have revealed over the past few years. Take a look at what I'm showing you on your screens. Now, Sam Solepur, who is a former Boeing engineer, had raised concerns about manufacturing shortcuts during 787 assembly process. He had also questioned the structural integrity which risked mid-air breakups. John Barnett, who was a former quality manager, and he had died under mysterious circumstances, which later was said that he had died by a suicide. He, remember, had highlighted safety lapses in the 787 Dreamliner program. He had also accused Boeing of using scrap parts during the assembly line, uncovered serious problems, especially with oxygen systems, which can be very, very dangerous on a flight and risk the lives of its passengers. Richard Cuvas, who is a former contractor, mechanic, Spirit Aerosystems, also working in this capacity, had said that substandard maintenance were in practice in the 787 Dreamliner. He had also complained about the improper drilling in forward pressure bulkheads. And similarly, Ed Pearson, who was the former Boeing manager, had flagged unresolved safety issues at Boeing and 787 program. He had raised bothersome pattern of issues with Boeing aircraft. Remember, all of this that is now making its way back to news reports. And if I could go back to Group Captain Amit Rumta on the very same, because fact remains that one of the whistleblowers had also quoted of a conversation she had had with her senior while she was on duty. And she had said that, these are the mistakes that are happening and it is being ignored. And she was told that anyway, all these aircrafts are being manufactured for overseas. They are not in America. Is there a laxity in that sense, knowing that these aircrafts will not fly in America alone? Why such carelessness? And these accounts of whistleblowers cannot go unignored.
All right, ma'am. So again, once again, I would just like to say over here, all the data that you've got about all these whistleblowers and whatever concerns they have raised, Boeing as a company in the last 5 years, this is not to defend a company, I'm just speaking in general, as a company has been under a lot of scrutiny. primarily not due to the Dreamliner, but because of the two crashes involving their Boeing 737 MAX aircraft. After which they have made a lot of changes. Their CEO has been changed, and there have been many other changes. I do not know the full details of it. But all the things which are raised in aviation, whether by whistleblowers who are working in the company or any other concern raised by anyone, is always taken seriously and it is looked into. Now, to make a sweeping statement that people have been saying this for so long, such major things have been happening, and Boeing as a company and the regulators in America have not been taking any action, is I would take that with a little pinch of salt. Also, it is incorrect to say that these aircrafts do not fly in America. The 787s definitely fly in America. And definitely, a lot of Americans fly in these aircrafts. I would not like to speculate that just because a particular country manufactures something for exporting, they would let their guard down. Aviation, although being
But
the
fact
most...
still remains, sir, that all these concerns have been flagged time and again. Boeing has issued a statement, but really about the larger safety of people across the globe. That needs to have all its focus. I want to thank you this evening for joining us on the broadcast and certainly understand where you're coming from and what you share. But we all wait as far as what the probe report will reveal on the Ahmedabad crash. And back in Ahmedabad, where families are grieving, trying to come to terms with the loss of their loved ones. Now, former Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani, who we understand will be laid to rest in Rajkot today. In fact, the mortal remains of Gujarat's former Chief Minister Vijay Rupani, who was one of the victims of the deadly air crash in Ahmedabad, were handed over to his family members, and he will be cremated with full state honors in Rajkot. Those are the pictures on your screens. In his honor, Rajkot has declared a voluntary half-day closure. In fact, those are the pictures coming in from his residence, where you see Union Home Minister Amit Shah also in attendance, family members and those paying their last respects to the former Gujarat Chief Minister, who will be laid to rest in Rajkot. Prayer meetings that are scheduled, and former Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani, who was on that flight, he was traveling to London to meet his wife and daughter. The family is devastated, and there you see those who are paying their last respects, laying wreaths on the mortal remains of former Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani. Union Home Minister Amit Shah paying his last respects, as it is a huge loss to the BJP of the close working relationship he shared with the top leadership. I want to go back to my colleague Brijesh Doshi, who has been tracking all the developments on the ground. In fact, he is at Vijay Rupani's residence in Rajkot. Also Vidya joining us on the broadcast. But Brijesh, before that, if I could come to you to get a sense of what it is like on the ground. There is all of his family still trying to come to terms with the fact that he's no more. And we see how the top leadership of BJP in attendance as the final journey of Vijay Rupani will be taken.
See, definitely the one of the biggest face or the tallest face of the Gujarat BJP, the former Chief Minister Vijay Rupani's last rites will be done in a short while from now. Right now, his mortal remains are at the Rajkot residence, where the family is giving a last tribute, and as well as Union Home Minister has reached to the resident of the former Chief Minister. We are at the place where his mortal remains will be kept, and he will be given the guard of the honor. The state protocol will be given before his last journey, or the last journey towards the funeral. So in a short while from now, his mortal remains will come here at the place where we are standing near his residence, and then all the top BJP leadership, be it Union Home Minister Amit Shah, the Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel, Union Minister C.R. Patil, State Home Minister Harsh Sanghvi, and the all other BJP leadership will give the last tribute to the former Chief Minister here, and then the last journey of former Chief Minister will start from here to the funeral place. And though the earlier time was around 6 p.m. when the funerals or the last rites will be done, but they are running late due to the people of the Rajkot overwhelmingly presented during when the mortal remains reached to the former Chief Minister's residence. The 6-kilometer long route, the people have shown the flower. People have shown the with the tears in the eyes. They have greeted their beloved leader, and almost it took 2.5 hours to reach the former Chief Minister's residence. So now the process has been delayed, and we have to wait once they will reach here, and then the final tribute will be given by the top BJP leadership, and then guard of honor and the state protocol will be followed, and after that the last rites will be done at the funeral place.
All right, Rajesh, do stay on with there. Before I come to you, let's also listen in to some of the responses that have come in from his family. Of course, a loss that can never, ever be settled. But even as they try and come to terms with it, let's listen into what they've said.
दुख की घड़ी में, ये दुखद दुर्घटना में सभी मृतकों को हमारे पूरे रूपाणी परिवार की तरफ से मैं श्रद्धांजलि अर्पण करता हूँ। ये दुख की घड़ी न सिर्फ हमारे परिवार के लिए है, पर बाकी 270-280 परिवारों के लिए भी आपत्तिजनक समय है। ये ईश्वर मैं प्रार्थना करता हूँ कि वो सभी आत्माओं को मोक्ष प्राप्त करें।
आपको सुनकर आश्चर्य होगा, हमारी दोस्ती 60 वर्ष पुरानी है, 60 इयर्स, इसलिए कि हम साथ में पढ़ते थे 1 से 7 स्टडी तक। बहुत सरल स्वभाव के थे, नानपण से हम पहचानते हैं। तो जब सीएम हुए तो हमारी दोस्ती तो कायम ही रही। गांधीनगर भी बार बार मुझे बुलाते थे कि महेश भाई आपको टाइम है तो आ जाओ, हम साथ में बैठेंगे, बातों करेंगे।
आपकी उनसे आखिरी बार बात कब हुई थी? कहा जा रहा है कि जिस दिन वो लंदन जाने वाले थे उस दिन आपने बात की थी। कितने बजे बात की थी? तब क्या बातचीत हुई थी?
वो लंदन जा रहे थे, उसके अगले दिन वो पंजाब थे, पंजाब से आए तब भी बात हुई थी। और उसकी डॉटर की तबीयत अच्छी नहीं थी लंदन में, तो वो देखने जा रहे थे। तो 1 बजे गुरुवार को 1 बजे 3 मिनट पर वीडियो कॉल से मेरी सिर्फ 9 सेकंड बात हुई थी। बेस्ट ऑफ जर्नी की और बेबी का ध्यान रखना, ऐसी बात हुई थी। उसने बोला कि आप फिक्र मत करो, मैं जल्दी वापस आ जाऊंगा, ऐसी बात हुई थी। और 1 घंटे के बाद मैंने जब यह हादसा सुना तो मैं एकदम कांप गया था कि 1 घंटे में ऐसा हो सकता है। तब मेरे को बहुत दुख हुआ। 2 दिन तक तो मैंने खाना भी नहीं खाया कि भाई ये कैसे हो गया।
Vijay, I want to come back to you because those who've known him closely are still in a state of shock. They still can't believe that Vijay Rupani is no more. And all those who've worked with him, who've known him personally, say that he was a man who was rooted to the ground. He started off as a corporator to grow on to become a chief minister of how Gujarat grew under his leadership. And today, the entire state is mourning his loss.
He had gone to other states as well as in charge of elections, be it, say, election in Maharashtra in certain places or in Punjab. And, I've spoken to people from all these places where he had gone. Even if a brief meeting, was held, his personality would come across where everyone knew the kind of discipline he had, the love for his party, the way it had to grow, the organizational structure. He was very if I can say, he was very to the point about what should be done by a person of a certain rank, holding a certain rank in a party. So he was a person of his own organization, very clear in his thoughts about what had to be done, while speaking, and very modest, of course. A lot of people that I've been speaking to, even if they had not met him, the way he came across, through television, through talks, his speeches, everyone, said that he was one of the best persons to have, heard. And the way his modesty came out, even when he was the chief minister, was something that everyone was touched about. And that's one thing that everyone's missing right now when they hear that he is no more.
All right, Vijay and Brijesh, many thanks for joining us on the broadcast. Of course, we keep coming back to you for further updates. For the moment, we cut across to more breaking news coming in. We now get to details of how N. Chandrasekaran, chairman of AI, addressed 700 employees at the AI headquarters in Delhi today. He addressed on the AI 171 crash that had occurred last week. Sources tell India Today that Chandrasekaran had shared that reads, and I quote, "This is the most heartbreaking crisis of my life and career. Air India needs to stand by those families who have lost their loved ones, need to be determined and show resilience to every person who is out there struggling to get the mortal remains, need to use this incident as an act of force to build a safer airline, need to wait for the investigation to reveal what exactly had caused the Ahmedabad air crash. This is a complex business, a complex machine, a lot of redundancies, checks, balances, certifications. We will get through this. Our job is to get Air India in a better place. Any company is what its people do." He addressed close to 700 employees and the leadership team in Gurugram across the Air India headquarters and the Air India Training Academy. He also visited the Emergency Command Center, the Integrated Operations Control Center, and the customer service and support. And most importantly, putting out a message to all those working in Air India that they need to better the standards of safety.